welcome to my dojo. This is Kung Fu Pizza Party, and I am your host, Brandon Knight. Thank you for coming back for another edition of the show. When I was sitting down to brainstorm what I wanted to do in this episode, my original plan was to do our first full movie review, but right about that same time, and when I was going through my brainstorming process, a couple trailers dropped for a few movies that were still to come out this year. And it got me thinking, we've had a lot of great movies come out this year, but there's still some time left on the clock, right? That we're not at the end of the year yet. There's still some time. So in today's episode, I'm going to take some time to tell you about some movies to keep your eyes out for here in the next few months before we hit the end of the year. A couple of them are more in the category of martial art-like films, or they might have really good fight choreography, but the two films that the trailers dropped for, they definitely fall under the Kung Fu movie genre. So we're going to do that here today, going to highlight some of the films that are still to come out here in 2024, and more than likely we'll do this kind of an episode again here, like either late 2024 or in January of 2025 to talk about the movies coming out during that year. So what is still to come here in the year of our Lord 2024? Well, one movie I want to start off talking about is one that technically has already come out. It just came out. I believe it was like the 4th. This episode is coming out on the 13th. So literally last week, this movie came out. And that is The Legend of the White Dragon. If you have not seen the trailer or heard the buzz around The Legend of the White Dragon, you need to go check it out. Because basically, this movie is Power Rangers for adults. That's the plan here. And I have known a Power Ranger fan here and there, and they have told me that that is something that they have wanted for a really long time. Power Rangers for grown-ups. And I like when that happens. I'll say this, no knock against the Power Ranger crowd whatsoever, but when I was a kid, a little boy in the late 90s, I was not allowed to watch the Power Rangers. That was off limits. I don't know why I was not allowed to watch Power Rangers, but 5 to 6 years later, when my brothers were starting to be born, they could watch Power Rangers. It was completely at firstborn syndrome, firstborn syndrome, everything is scary. I get it. I have one kid, and if he stays an only child, he's going to forever be treated as the firstborn with all of the safety parameters, but also has to go do and try everything. So anyway, I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers growing up. That's all that to say. I wasn't allowed to watch it. And so I don't necessarily have this desire for, I need a mature take on the Power Rangers. I don't necessarily have that, but I've heard this from other longtime Power Rangers fans that it would be so cool to see, the original Rangers or a new take on the Rangers in a very gritty environment, very, mature setting. And I like that idea. I like the idea of that. And we've seen this before where a child intellectual property gets aged up to the maturity level that the original audience would have grown into. Case in point, a couple years ago, the big thing was the Last Ronin comic book series, this series where it was set in this dark dystopian universe in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles world. If you've missed The Last Ronin, we will talk about The Last Ronin here at some point on the show, but that was a big dark turn in the legend of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Or when I mentioned in the last episode, big Samurai Jack fan, when Adult Swim greenlit doing the final series, they did make it a little bit grittier. There was blood. There was, it was a little bit more intense. So I get that desire for, hey, let's do this thing, but a little bit more intense. So I watched the trailer for it. I have not seen the movie. Like I said, it just came out at the recording of this episode, and the trailer looks really good. Again, not like a big Power Rangers guy, but it does look really cool. And the biggest selling point of it all, even more than the whole, this is like Power Rangers for grown-ups, is that this is actually going to be the final on-screen performance of the beloved Power Rangers actor Jason David Frank, who sadly died. I think it's already been 3 years ago now is when he passed away. So I know that I love Jason David Frank because by the time my brothers were watching Power Rangers, he was still on there because Tommy is legendary. Like, you do not mess with Tommy. He is the top guy. So, I get it. He always seemed like, I've been to Comic-Cons and stuff where he's been there, and he's always been like super friendly with the crowd and interacting with people. So, definitely if you need any more of a reason, you should go see this to see the final on-screen performance of Jason David Frank. Okay, another movie that I think is going to come out the exact same day that this episode is dropping is a movie called The Killer's Game. So this movie stars the Animal Batista as this assassin mercenary guy, kind of think like in John Wick with the hotel where it's like all the different like hitmen people, or what's that one Kevin Hart movie, The Man from Toronto, where it's like this network of assassins, right? He's like part of this network of assassins, and he finds out that he has been diagnosed with a terminal illness. And rather than waiting for the disease to kill him, he decides to put a hit out on himself. He rather would go out that way. Only come to find out, oh ho ho, here's the comedy part. Plot twist, he was misdiagnosed. He's actually going to be fine. And because nobody likes him, the Bureau of Assassins or whatever is not going to take the contract out, so he has to survive this onslaught of bounty hunters and assassins coming after him. This is not like kung fu even slightly. I'm just hoping for some good fight choreography. That's, I don't know. For me, this isn't necessarily I gotta go see this one in theaters. If I'm being honest, Batista's not really a draw for me when it comes to his films. I'll watch him wrestle any day of the week, don't get me wrong. But outside of that one random episode of Smallville he was in, I take that back. He's really good as Drax. But I think it's because, like, as Drax, he's kind of just playing like a souped up version of himself. Like, he's just kind of like an insane version of his wrestling character in a way, like he's a version of himself who's funny. Like, so when it comes to this movie, like, I don't think I'm gonna like rush to the theaters to see this like as soon as I'm done recording, but like, I don't know, if when it hits streaming, I might check it out, see if there's any good fight scenes in it. By the way, have you seen Batista lately? He's looking a little old. I've been watching him wrestle since the early 2000s. He's starting to look a little old, and I love it. It's kind of silly when he does this, but if he needs to, he has to, right? But like, I think it's kind of silly when he puts those little old man reading glasses on, like he wore in Knock at the Cabin or Army of the Dead. It's just like big old Batista, who I saw Batista bomb into an RKO Bryan Danielson through an announce table. He's got these little like grandpa reading glasses now. It's adorable. So yeah, go check out The Killer's Game. Maybe he'll Batista bomb somebody. Has he done that in a movie yet? He needs to Batista bomb somebody in a movie. That's what I want. I want to choreograph a movie. I would really like to be a fight choreographer. Given the opportunity, I should do a movie like on Kickstarter or something, so I can choreographed fight scenes for it, because I've always wanted to do one that like the fight scenes would be very pro wrestling like, and the guys are like power bombing each other and super kicks, and oh no, for some reason he has a bag of tacks that he just dropped that guy onto, like just silly stuff like that. Anyway, those are my fantasies. So let's now talk about these two trailers that just came out. Okay, one is for a movie called Black Creek. The other one is called The Prosecutor. Let's start with The Prosecutor, because there's not a lot out there when it comes to this movie. There's a little 10-second trailer that just recently dropped and a synopsis on IMDb. And I know what you're thinking with that kind of a title. Again, it's called The Prosecutor. You're probably assuming that this is the next Jason Statham movie where he is got some kind of normal person job as a cover for being a badass, the beekeeper, the transporter. Like, it was kind of a shame that they didn't cast him to be in that movie, The Pacifier, with Vin Diesel. Like, he should have been, because then he could have added babysitter onto his really weird resume of, oh, he was in The Mechanic. I forgot he was in The Mechanic. So, like, yeah, this is like a thing for Jason Statham. Like, he has a normal job. That's not the case for this movie. He's not a lawyer who's secretly a badass. This is actually a Donnie Yen movie. Yes, the goat of modern kung fu movies, Donnie Yen. Where he is going to play a former prosecutor who takes it upon himself to seek justice for a young man who is wrongfully convicted of drug trafficking. And in the process, he discovers that there's this whole like secret group of lawyers who are like working, doing dark, evil things, getting people wrongly convicted for their own personal gain, things like that. So it's a short trailer. It is a fast-paced trailer. I watched it like 3 or 4 times, and I'm still trying to digest it. Here's the thing, though. Just as much as Batista is starting to look old, Donnie Yen, oh my gosh, that is a good-looking guy. He is always looking sharp, and he is sharp looking in this trailer. There's a scene where he's in this suit doing like some cool, I think he's like spinning around a pole in a subway train thing. He's looking good. Like, he's aging like fine wine. And I'm so happy that we're finally at a point where, like, Donnie Yen, he's been in the industry for so long, and it's like within the past, I mean, to be fair, it's probably been like the past 10, 15 years that he's finally gotten into this, like, this limelight. We all know Tony Jaa is the next one, because he's already had some real bangers, but I'm excited anytime I see a new Donnie Yen movie is on the horizon, because he's a fantastic fighter, and again, he's just so darn good looking. The other trailer, like I mentioned, that came out is for a movie called Black Creek, starring the queen of the martial arts herself, Cynthia Rothrock. Actually, this movie is like a 80s highlight reel, because Benny the Jet is in this movie. I don't know, it was the last time I saw Benny the Jet in a film, and I always mess this guy's name up. Keith Vitale, I think is how you say his name. Another person who was like Cynthia and like Benny the Jet. 3 people who, how in the world have they not been cast in an Expendables film yet? Like, how have those 3 not made the cut yet? Those 3 are so good at what they do, and we're in so many great 80s and 70s and 80s, just like cheesy action kung fu movies, ninja films. Like, come on. Put them in the Expendables already, Stallone. What's wrong with you? Anyway, so Black Creek, this is a very intense trailer. Definitely go check this trailer out. Loved every second of it. The plot is this: Cynthia Rothrock is avenging the death of her brother. That's it. That's the whole story. But here's the thing. It's a Western. That's right. This movie is set in the Wild Wild West, and it is such a great, like, from from the trailer itself. It's just such a great East meets West style film. So it's just literally the West, but the fight choreography is so Eastern. I mean, she's using a bow staff at one point. It's all like rolling Brazilian jiu-jitsu stuff, and she's like this eighth degree black belt in Tang Soo Do, and you can see a lot of that in the trailer. The cinematography from the trailer alone, like the fight scenes are gonna look so good. I am so excited for this movie. I think it's tentatively scheduled to be released in early October, so like a month from now this movie should be out. Hopefully I have a way to check this out. This is similar to Legend of the White Dragon. This movie was also funded through Kickstarter. I think she's producing the film along with starring in it. By the way, I didn't mention this with The Prosecutor, but we have not yet gotten an official release date as of the recording of this episode. So yeah, if you like your kung fu movies with a little bit of westernness to it, Shanghai Noon, or what's that other one with Jeffrey Rush, The Warrior's Way, like if you like a little bit of cowboys with your martial art films, I think this is definitely one worth checking out. Probably going to review it once I can get my hands on it. And again, Cynthia, the invitation is open. Please come be on the show. Please be on the show. Okay, so we got at least two more movies that I want to highlight that, similar to The Killer's Game, they're definitely not kung fu movies. They're definitely not martial art films, but they could have some good fight choreography in them. One of them is the highly anticipated and arguably way long overdue sequel, Gladiator 2. That's right. Ridley Scott is finally giving us a sequel to a great movie. And this one's got Pedro Pascal in it, and I still can't get my wife to go see it with me. Oh well. There is mixed information out there as to how the gladiators actually fought. There's some people claim that they know the actual system of training and combat that the gladiators went through for their time in the Colosseum. Others would call BS on all of that. So, I've recently, as of this year, have started dipping my toe into the world of HEMA, historical European martial arts. And that's one thing I picked up pretty quick was we kind of know the weapons and we kind of know some of the stuff they were doing. But honestly, it's just kind of hard to know what exactly the gladiators were like. If the gladiators were trained, how they went through that process, anything like that. Either way, I'm sure we'll be in for a nice bloody good time with the Gladiator 2, with some Colosseum fighting. And of course, somebody has to say, are you not entertained? If nobody says, are you not entertained, then why am I even here? That's really what I'm here for. Okay, Denzel Washington's in the movie. So I'm here for him, and I'm here to hear somebody say, are you not entertained? The other movie that definitely is not a martial art movie, and also is probably a movie nobody is looking forward to but me and my brother, Kraven the Hunter, one of the last movies scheduled to come out this year. It's coming out mid-December, I think it is. This is part of the Sony Spider-Man universe that nobody likes but me and my wife and my brother, that features the Venom franchise, Madam Web, Morbius, and now Kraven the Hunter. And if you don't know anything about this universe, it's basically what to make a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man and have all of his villains be anti-heroes, except for Madam Web, who is a superhero, and we're going to introduce a bunch of other... It's complicated. Basically, I think this universe's goal is just to continue to remind the MCU that they do not own Spider-Man. I think that's literally the point here. But I'm interested in Kraven the Hunter, first off, because it's going to be the first movie in this cinematic universe with an R rating, and it is a hard R. I saw the Red Band trailer when I went and saw the movie, I think it was Alien Romulus. During that, they showed a Red Band trailer, and it's going to be violent. There's and saw the reverse bear trap. It looked like somebody had one of those on their head at one point. Like, I don't know what is going on here. But I'm interested to see, because Craven has, he's like, he's a hunter, and in the comics, at least, he's obsessed with trying to capture Spider-Man. That's like the whole thing. And he's a great tracker. And in the movie, it looks like they're souping him up a little bit with like superpowers, even to the point in some of the shots in the trailer where it looks like he's moving like animals. Like, I think there's one where he's kind of like clawing at the earth, like like how, almost like how a tiger would run, kind of thing, is what he's doing. So I'm interested to see. I'm not like anticipating the 5 forms of Shaolin Kung Fu with like the different animal styles in his fighting, but it would be interested to see like if he does have some animal influences in how he's viciously killing people. We are beginning to run out of time, so I got to go quick here. This is the fun part of this show when I see the timers at the 20-minute mark. So a docuseries that you definitely should keep your eyes out for, and I believe should be out here pretty soon, is the documentary series Mr. McMahon, coming to Netflix. Yeah, it's not martial arts, it's sports entertainment, but it is professional wrestling, and it has the word wrestling in it, so I'm going to count it. And I've already established the fact that I love wrestling just a little bit earlier here on the show. So if you are not a pro wrestling fan, if you've never watched WWE, but you remember like maybe a year and a half ago, you suddenly heard the name Vincent Kennedy McMahon everywhere in the news. Yeah, it's because the entire rest of the world was exposed to the fact, something that all WWE fans already kind of knew and suspected, that Vince McMahon is a horrible, horrible human being, and somehow it was worse than what we were all anticipating. So here's my thing. If you're not familiar with the recent history, or truly the entire history of the McMahons with WWE and WWF all the way back to the beginning, like, save yourself some time at this point and just watch the documentary. Get ready. It's going to have all the trigger warnings. I have no insider knowledge on what this documentary is going to be in it, but just from what I know about the recent history and the long history of the McMahons, it's going to be heavy for all you true crime pod people. Like, pop your popcorn, get your rosé, whatever you do when you do your true crime thing, and it's going to be a doozy. I as somebody again who like is very familiar with all this, I am totally anticipating learning something and still being very disgusted and disappointed. Like, it's one of those that like I am not looking forward to watching, but I know this story needs to be told, especially because like there for a while, the information was constant. So just to have like a place where all of the information is going to be concentrated down into one thing. Here's the one series that's going to chronicle all the horrible things Vince McMahon has done. Thank you for just putting it all in one place. Also, can we just point out the fact that Netflix has some major balls being willing to still put this out just months before Monday Night Raw moves to Netflix as the exclusive streaming home. Like, they are going to get the streaming rights to Netflix Netflix is getting the streaming rights for Monday Night Raw from the USA Network in January, and they are still putting out this documentary that is going to wipe mud all over it. Like, good for them for sticking to putting this out, even though they've already spent the money for everything. So maybe that's it. Maybe they just had already spent all the money to get the streaming rights and to make the documentary. They're like, okay, well, let's just put it out at this point. Now, that's a real bummer of a way to end the episode. Hey, listen, go watch this documentary about a horrible person. Like, that's a real bummer of a way to end the episode. So I want to quickly talk about a movie that was rumored to come out this year. It still hasn't, but it's still floating around as a possibility for the future. So this year we got another season. I think it was the final season of Cobra Kai. if I remember correctly. All the Cobra Kai people just sat up straight in their chairs and they're like, ooh, yes, tell me more about Cobra Kai. So I'm like way behind on Cobra Kai, to be honest with you. I've always been told that I would like it, but honestly, when people tell me I would like a show or a movie, I kind of don't watch it because usually they're wrong. But the final season, I believe, of Cobra Kai had just come out, and there was a rumor that the Daniel-san Karate Kid Cobra Kai universe was going to have a crossover film with the, get ready for this, the one-off Jackie Chan Jaden Smith Karate Kid film. They were going to bring those two universes together in a movie because, again, I'm super behind, but I'm aware of the fact that the Cobra Kai show has tried really hard to tie everything together in the Karate Kid universe, which is cool. And, there's not very much to the Karate Kid universe. There's not 17 movies to try to tie together, kind of like what they were doing with the X-Men franchise there for a while. So and they still messed it up. But so I get it that they would want to do this crossover and okay, now we have to tie in this stepchild that we kind of have avoided all these years of a movie called The Karate Kid where he learns Kung Fu. We're going to bring this in now. Cool. Do I want to see Jackie Chan and Daniel-san in a fight? No, because Jackie Chan will win. That's pretty simple. But I guess it would be cool to see Jackie and Jaden Smith, I guess, in a tag team match against Daniel-san and the Cobra Kai dude. Zadok or whatever his name is. The guy who Barney Stinson in How I Met Your Mother thinks is actually the good guy of that movie. Anyway, maybe they could have a tag team match or something and bring the universes together. Like I said, that was rumored to come out this year. As far as I know, it hasn't. It's not planning to come out this year, but it is still on the internet, so therefore I can talk about it. I got to get out of here. We're almost out of time. So thank you for listening to today's episode. I promise next time we'll have our first full movie review. I've already watched it. I'm very excited to talk about it. It's going to be a great time. But please, if you haven't yet already, which is a good chance, there's only been one episode, please rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. On Spotify, you just have to hit the star and then hit however many stars you think I deserve. Seriously, you could even give me one and it still helps. The algorithm just cares about the fact that it was rated. It doesn't care how well it was rated. Review bomb me. I don't care. But you can please rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. Share the episode with a friend. And if you haven't yet already, again, I get it. We're brand new around here anyway. You can go to Instagram and follow the show at Kung Fu Pizza Party to stay up to date on what's going on here on the show and get in on the conversation. This has been Kung Fu Pizza Party, and I have been your host, Brandon Knight, where we have delivered high-flying action in 30 minutes or less and served up some wisdom, one slice at a time.